I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster, and this is LD and the MC.
Well, as the amazing Bob Cobb has told you once again, you have arrived at LD
and the MC.
Number 17, David. Number 17, buddy.
Wendell Clark. Do you know who Wendell Clark is?
I could play dumb and say yes, but no, I do not know who Wendell Clark is. I'm assuming some amazing Canadian pro athlete.
One of the greatest Toronto Maple Leafs ever. I mean, he could electrify the crowd with both his hockey stick and his fists. He was not afraid to drop the gloves, and a hardcore angler, and a guy I've hung out with at some Bass Pro Shops. So number 17, Wendell Clark. Share this or something if you're listening, please.
Shout out, Wendell. I'm not a hockey guy because I'm a redneck from Tennessee, but welcome if you're watching. You are now fixing to see the Mom's Basement moment.
That's right, and I'll let you kick off this week's Mom's Basement.
Yes,
moment.
I'm so excited about this one. You and I take a little bit of pride when people, they really get in there and they take some digs at you or me. And this week, I believe
mostly you.
For sure me. You are loved by most, I would say. I tend to push people's buttons, I think. But this is, I believe, a reply to something we may have said on here a long time ago, but they are commenting on a very old episode, maybe LD and the MC like 3 or 4. It's the one where we talked about cheating in professional fishing. But I got this notification this weekend, and I was happy. It's on the Luke Dunkin's Traveling Circus YouTube, but it was directed to Dave. So I had to read it. And this is from William Stinchever, which he's mad about his name. That's his real name. I get Stinchever. But someone had called us, said we were really good salesmen, or said Dave was a salesman at one point. But he said, by salesman, I mean selling Bassmaster. On a podcast, I was hoping to see the real you, Dave. Not your on-stage persona of goofy cringe and bad jokes. And that's the comment. And I had to share that for my Mom's Basement moment this week because it made me smile.
And that's how you chose to start the show. I mean, that's what you're bringing to it.
Well, listen. Here's the thing. This is what I'm going to say. There's two things, two ways I would like to take this, Dave. First of all, I'm a little bit, I don't want to say on edge with you because I've been at home, haven't been getting to travel. Now the weather sucks and things in Tennessee. And you're down there on stage with your little microphone in the Florida weather last week with your own stage persona, and I barely heard from you. I just want to throw that out there. People think these guys do a podcast. They talk all the time. No, barely heard from you. You're busy. I get it. Okay. But so I will agree to a little bit. But on the other hand, I want to say, William Stinchever, I have questioned the MC multiple times because I know Dave, and I feel like you guys and gals out there that watch the show, the humpers, are getting to see Dave. Like you're getting to see the Dave you don't see on the Bassmaster stage. That's why I think I took so much offense to this comment. And I commented back and said, maybe you should watch more episodes than just the third one, because there have been times that we've talked about it after we've stopped recording. I'm like, hey, hope you don't get in trouble for that, Dave, because I feel like Dave goes in pretty hard on this show. So if you disagree, I'm sorry, but I think you're getting to see the real MC.
And sorry to break it to you, but the it's not a character I play on stage. I mean, that's who I really am. It's just amplified. No, I don't. Talk like that. I get a little more excited and stuff, but it's kind of if you don't like me on stage, you're probably not going to like me. And I think that I agree. I think I put myself out there in this show, and I enjoy doing it. And you know what? Screw that guy.
Yeah,
that's my comeback to him. But I appreciate him listening. Whether you love us or hate us, just listen. That's all that really matters. I mean, I'm going to show you how real I am. Look this is something I've hidden for what, 17 episodes. Wendell Clark's number worth of episodes. I mean, I put these glasses on beforehand, Luke, and I talk to you, and then I am so vain that I take them off. And it has come to my attention that it looks like I'm incredibly stoned out of my mind in a lot of episodes, because I'm like, because I can't see like a lot of people watching this show. So look, that's how open and honest I am to you right here. But I'll back up with a mom's basement moment. And look, I mean, dude, they love us or hate us. I just want them to listen.
As long as they're watching, it doesn't matter, right?
It's kind of the whole thing with this, you know. But this one here is I shout out. I told the guy, I responded to him and said we were going to answer your question. Because first of all, I've got two beefs with this question. The first, I'll read his question clearly. BTL, Straycasts, LD will not answer this question. That's all in caps. So he's throwing you under the bus. When there is a marshal of the opposite sex, what do they do when they have to go to the bathroom? This is a legitimate question. Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, first of all, I mean, why does everybody throw us under the bus with every other podcast? We've got enough problems with podcasts. We're trying to get along. We're trying to find a night that makes people happy that we upload. We're just, don't stop stoking the fire. Number one. Number two, are you a freaking idiot? Like, really? You don't know what do you think happens? That is one of the dumbest questions ever, just simply because, dude, I mean, yeah, that's it. I mean, I know how girls pee. And I would assume most people that watch this, if you're a female, you know how boys pee. I mean, it was something you learned really early in life. And I also know how to respect other human beings. I know how to turn my back to somebody when they need to take care of business. And we're dealing with adults here. So
yeah,
your question, they say there's no such thing as a stupid question, but that's about as close as you can get to a stupid question. So I responded to him just right away. I said, that's an incredibly dumb question. So dumb that I really look forward to answering it in a future podcast. So I did answer it. The people that need to pee, if they're, and here's a breaking news. When a female angler makes the Elite Series, she might have to turn her back to male marshals. I mean, it's nothing to do with fishing. It's called real life. I mean, we all get in situations where you need some privacy and we respect humans, but that's a dumb question. So I would just say those other podcasts have a lot more class, yourself included. You didn't answer it. I took the low road.
I don't know that you ever asked me that. I probably would have answered it similar to the way you just answered. I've been in those situations. I fished with a lot of females. They're actually, when I fished co-angler on the FLW, I fished with a female pro that was out there when I was co-angling. And it's, you know, I won't say it's not comfortable, but dude, it's not like when you're in that situation, you both know it's going to have to happen and it just happens, right? Like you don't, it's not like they're going, ooh, and you're going, hey, how's this going to happen? I mean, it's like you said, it's an adult situation. You know, we get through it. It can be awkward, but it is what it is.
When I've been in that situation,
I don't think inquiring minds want to know.
No, they don't. And when I've been in that situation in the past, it was more embarrassing for me than it was.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they're used to it. Just so you know,
right.
Every female marshal, every female tournament angler, they have dealt with this. They figured it out when they were young. I mean, it's more embarrassing generally for the guy because it's new to them. I did have an experience once, and I don't even know if I should tell it, but I will. Because I mean, that's what we do here. But I'm going to take these glasses off. I'm going to squint now, but it's all because of you, the viewer, because if not, there's going to be a weird reflection in your eyes and you're going to wonder what's up. So, but here is the deal, Lucas. I had a female, as we call them in Canada, scrutineers. That's what they're called in Canada, believe it or not. That's the truth. Tommy Sanders loves it. In Canada, they are not marshals. They're scrutineers, which is such a classier term, really.
I love it.
I don't know how that started, but it is part of it. Actually might have been Michelle Kilburn, believe it or not, from Mercury, you know, friend of the show, friend of the industry. She used to run the Canadian circuit, believe it or not.
Okay.
She was originally,
I never knew that.
She might have made the term scrutineer. Who knows? But anyways, I run a Yamaha outboard and I love it. I just found out that I gave Mercury a plug and I'm worried that we're both going to get in trouble. So I'll give Yamaha a plug.
Big shout out to Yamaha. Get in the Power Pay program.
Yeah, definitely. Yamaha. I've been with them for over 25 years. So I will follow on. So I'm fishing with this person and all day I'm worried I'm going to have to, you know, deal with a situation while we're out there. And I don't do number two on the water as often as possible because I'm kind of top heavy and doesn't work out a lot of times. But number one, I mean, that's a situation, if you're hydrated, you're going to have to deal with throughout the day. But I was just, I didn't want to confront it. So I ignored it for as long as possible. And the problem was, I don't even know why I'm telling this story, but Lucas, sometimes when you pee, you'll let out like a little, pressure release. Well, all day I didn't pee, so there was no pressure being released. And so what I tried to hold off and turn into a, undistracting situation turned into quite the opposite. And let's just say I trumpeted.
It was like a 12-gauge blast.
Yeah, I just had to let them know it was horrible. And I thought I'd never relive it, but I just did on this freaking podcast.
What did she say? Anything, or was it just silence?
Wow. I believe it.
Yeah, okay. And hey, here's the thing. In that situation, I feel like that's appropriate. You got to address it. You can't just skip right past. We've been sharing a boat all day. You basically just knocked my makeup off. We've got to talk about this.
So bad.
Got to be addressed, buddy. It's got to
so
be
bad.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Speaking of got to be addressed, look at you. You look all cute. I mean, here's what I love about the South when it gets cold and you deal with snow. I love how you're like a bunch of Barbie dolls using your accessories. I mean, you just got to make sure I got my, as you call them, a stocking cap, I believe, in the South.
No, I don't call it a stocking cap.
What do you call it?
I call it a beanie most of the time.
Do you know what we call it?
What?
A toque.
A toque?
Yeah, that's what it's called in Canada. That's a toque.
For real?
Right on. Nice toque. Keep you warm, eh?
I bet you have an extensive collection, though, because I'll have like two. So I'm proud when I get to actually rock the toque, as you say. No, man, it's cold here, dude. My phone says feels like 7. So you know what? It's 7 degrees. Feels like 7. I don't care what it says. The temperature actually is feels like 7 in Southern Tennessee. Sucks, dude. Sucks.
Very cold.
And we've had, ice and more ice than snow where I'm at, like 2 inches of just solid ice on the roads. Like it's crazy. My road, you've been here. I live in the sticks and it's impassable right now. They don't have equipment. Yeah, I do. And they're not coming out here to save us. So, but I want to say, if you follow along on Instagram, I know you've been giving me shit over this, but we're using the accessories we have. My kids and I, we don't have sleds, but buddy, we've got inner tubes hooked up behind 4-wheelers and side by sides, and we're making sleds. We have been having us a time for the last 2 days. So the fun part of it is awesome, but I'm kind of ready to get back to normal reality and actually be able to function because I'm over this crap.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are doing everything that we do. Except we just do it for a couple hours and then go in. But I explained to my kids the other day, it'd be like, it'd be like if the sun never, we have summer. Contrary to popular belief, summer happens in Canada.
It's just short-lived.
But it's like you said, you have told your kids stories about this in their whole life. This is the first time they've ever really had an extended thing of this. Right. So, strap as many slippery things as possible and slide down the hill. I love it. I love it's exactly how Canadians would be if it went away. It's cute when you're like, in 2 weeks or in a week, there's going to be no snow.
That's right.
But when you're trapped here, evidently it had to, you start inventing plows and ways to continue on. But that leads me to a question because when the first ice age started, Luke, I'm sure there was a few days where people are like, it'll get warm. Don't worry.
It's coming back.
Every 100 or so years we have a thing. And maybe this is it. Maybe we're the first podcast to say we are officially in an ice age.
Man, I'm going to tell you right now, seeing some of the pictures from New Orleans, Louisiana, Houston, Texas, Galveston, Texas on the beach. The damn beach is frozen with snow on it. Austin, Texas. 4 million people without power in the state of Texas alone. We are not designed for this crap in the South at all. And like you said, like what I was telling my kids, this is what, to put this in perspective for a fine Canadian gentleman like yourself and any of our northern humpers out there, this is truly I can count on one hand, guys. I'm 37 years old. One hand. That's why these memories are so important to be made with my kids. Like this week's been awesome, but I can count on one hand the times that I've been completely shut down because of winter. Now we would miss school for different things, you know, here and there. But I'm talking about like my kids will not go back to school for 7 or 8 days because school buses can't run. Like all of our county roads, like they're trashed right now. But 5 times in my entire life that I can think of that, maybe 4. I
mean, Tennessee didn't even stop for COVID.
Hell no. no, but this absolutely.
Sorry, I had to. It was hanging there.
We're playing basketball, baseball, concerts. Nobody cares, but ice, hell no. So it is. It's crazy to think about, and we don't have the equipment, man. You don't have the plows. And it is bananas around here right now. I feel like we're living on rations. We haven't been to the grocery store. My kids have ate everything in the damn house in 2 days. Listen, this was dinner last night for us. We had 4 frozen pork chops Marissa found in the deep freeze and some leftover hamburger meat from where we had made spaghetti the night before. She made 3 hamburgers and 4 pork chops, fed the family. I swear, it was so funny. I'm like, we're out of drinks. We're out of, like, the kids are just, you know, that's what you do when you're bored, right? Like you just eat. My kids are like little tornadoes in the snack cabinet, man. It's ridiculous. So I need the sun and I need it now, ladies and gentlemen.
And just like that, you explained to all of the South why everybody in the North drinks so much.
There you go. That's it. Another thing that goes hand in hand, warms you up a little bit and passes the time. For sure.
It does, and I get it. I mean, I make a lot of jokes, obviously, but I will tell you, you know, cold is one of those things that people don't respect enough. You know what I mean? Like it's scary what can happen, you know, when pipes start freezing and stuff. And the way you build a house in Canada is totally different than the way you build a house in Tennessee, and totally different than the way you build a house in Florida. I mean, houses are built for the environment they live in. And that's I mean, if you look in my attic or in my basement, the pipes and everything are all insulated. It's a totally different deal. So I do feel for everybody that is going through stuff, but it's so bizarre to me because there's so many things. Like I literally had a conversation with someone the other day and I had to explain to them, and this sounds shocking to me, that you shouldn't use cruise control in the snow. Are you shocked by that?
I just want to hear where you're going with this.
No, like to me, as somebody who drives in the snow, that's almost like, I'm trying to think of something to compare it to, but it's just like, that's well, why would you? I mean, who would use cruise control in the snow?
That's not a good idea.
But there is a lot of people, like there's silly little things like that if you're doing it, don't do it. But I mean, but it's also like, dude, right before weigh-in, there was tornado warnings, and I was like, oh, what do I do? America, help me. I looked for James Overstreet. He's from Arkansas.
You know he can deal with one.
He's like, man, it's Florida. It ain't nothing but a freaking water spout, man. Because he's from Arkansas. I mean, if it ain't
and they get hammered.
So it is amazing. I mean, it's so cold and there's so many people dealing with so many different things. And it's so rare for us to look at it. So for all the Canadians that want to point fingers, it is very different. There's never been a lick of salt on any of your roads or anything like that. No. So it gets slick. And if you've driven through Tennessee, I mean, I can understand why you've been sledding, because there's got to be some good sledding. I mean, we should have been smart and turned this into a PSA.
We should have, yes.
Should have called like all the Canadians.
LD and the MC coming at you to tell you to be safe out there, all you redneck hillbillies on the road. What cracks me up the most?
Dude, I'm going to do something. You keep talking. I'm going to try to get an expert on the line here. Hold on.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah, keep talking.
So my favorite thing, though, is my social media feeds are just nothing but people posting how cold it is at their house in the South.
Shh. Sorry. Oh, wait. Screwed it up again. Hold on. Oh, this is horrible. Keep talking.
We try to get high tech.
I'm going to stop you in a second.
Social feeds are nothing but people showing the screen grabbing the Weather Channel app on their phone to show how cold it is at their house. Okay.
I'm calling an expert.
Oh, no.
Yo.
Gussie. I mean, when you need to know stuff about about snow, you call the Great Canadian Snow Leopard, right?
You do.
Gussie, we're live right now. How are you?
Gussie,
are you there? Well, that didn't work at all. Guys. I tried to bring in an expert. I really did.
He is definitely an expert in terrible weather.
He's the Great Canadian Snow Leopard.
That's right.
I live in Canada, and I'm like, how is things way up north?
Oh,
Gussie?
man.
That's
Posts,
where he lives.
His posts are amazing, man.
Evidently, no. I mean, I thought that would have been good, but you talk on. Do you want me to try to get him, or we'll just give up on that?
We can, if he calls back, I'll say we get him on. If not, we can talk about the fact that we actually have a national bass tournament coming up. RedCrest. Edwin Evers, 3 years later, gets to defend his crown at RedCrest number 2.
To be clear, before there's confusion, I thought you were talking about bass, and I celebrated there.
Oh.
So I'm not not that I'm not excited about the
RedCrest. The RedCrest, which is, by the way, the comb on a chicken. If you Google a RedCrest, you know the thing on a rooster, that's actually called a RedCrest. So it's the chicken.
Well, I do know a rooster that lives down there in Gunnersville, Alabama.
I hope his plane can fly.
Come on, really? Is that true?
But swear.
I'm using more technology.
I swear.
Hey, Suri, what is a RedCrest?
What is a RedCrest?
Oh, it gave me answers. It's giving me addresses. None of this is where. Okay, so I'm not picking up that phone again. This is.
I'll be honest. Canadian phone service is sketchy at best today.
At best,
Let's be honest. My phone is working in Tennessee in the damn cold. But no, they delayed RedCrest by 1 day because there's a Toyota series that some RedCrest BPTers are fishing that actually kicked off this morning in Gunnersville, and it's like a balmy 6 degrees over there as well. Can't believe they're even having the tournament. They had a couple hundred boats in it. But anyways, they've only delayed it by a day. I've seen guys making Instagram stories. They're trying to get there. The interstates are on gridlock in freaking Texas. I talked to one competitor last night that said he thought it was going to take him all day today to go 150 miles. He was on the side of the road last night trying to get there. My question is this: should we be having an event right now? And that's going to warm up. It's going to warm up next week. Things could change, but from my house in Tennessee all the way out into Texas, it's just a frozen tundra right now that we're not used to, man. And they're going to have single-digit temperatures. They've been building this tournament up. They moved it from Tulsa, Oklahoma because of COVID and whatever reasons. And now
somebody doesn't want them to have this tournament, Lucas. I mean, Texas froze over. I'm just saying. I mean, I want them to have the tournament.
Listen, you are pointing out the obvious right now that there are greater powers at hand trying to stop the RedCrest from happening. I mean, you're silent. It's not good for a podcast.
But I'm. What is the question? Like, should they have it?
I don't know.
I mean, it's
man.
scheduled.
They
How
have.
are they
I know
supposed to
from
know?
talking to friends of mine that are fishing it. They have a makeup week. And the thing is, why are we pushing this? From talking to a couple guys, they're like, this could be dangerous for a lot of guys getting there. The fishing, you got to think, after record cold, some of the lakes around there are even frozen in places. Like, it's probably not going to be, the fishing's probably not going to be that good, especially early in the week. Why not have it later? You don't have an expo. You don't have weigh-ins.
Yeah.
You don't have fans actually coming to any kind of activation thing. So my thing is, why not just have it later? I don't know. I don't understand why the push to risk the anglers. Look, I'm supposed to go in a couple days out to Texas for a trip for a sponsor of mine, 16 hours from home to Choke Canyon, and I'm bailing on it because we're getting more ice and snow now, and it's coming from that direction. And I don't think it's going to be safe for me to drive cross country to Choke Canyon Reservoir in San Antonio, Texas. I'll just be honest. Like, black ice and all that shit scares me. And it's not going to get above freezing out there in San Antonio until like Sunday.
Wow.
So, and this is Wednesday when we're recording this. So I don't know. RedCrest is supposed to kick off, I think, Saturday for practice in East Texas, where it's been like in the negatives for actual temps this week. I don't know, Dave. What do you think?
My concern, to be honest, isn't as much of the tournament. but it'd be the anglers getting there for the tournament, like you talked about. I mean, to have to traverse through that and have to deal with that, that's into like what I talked about earlier. I mean, the underestimation of cold it's kind of like water. A lot of times, you'll hear people say people take water for granted, and it's true.
For sure.
You don't take the full power of water, and cold's the same, man. You if I said your house had a fire, you'd be like, whoa. But when you think of a cold snap, I mean, your house can get equally as destroyed from cold as it can from fire when those pipes start bursting and stuff. So to me, it'd be hard for people to leave home, at this time. And that being said, I mean, I don't want to get in trouble or anything. And I haven't even heard this as a conversation, but if the cold continues, I'd worry about Knoxville. I mean, our next event, you know what I mean? Just because there has to be a let off at some point. And man, people are getting more and more snow. And like you said, it's going to go away, but there's going to be stuff to deal with. And
well, that's right. Well, and to put it in perspective, so I'm in the dead center of the state of Tennessee. Knoxville is 4 hours to the east. You guys are supposed to start practice, Monday, I think?
Yeah.
But most guys would travel on Sunday. Well, here's the thing. We have more ice supposed to get to us on Thursday night, which will get into Knoxville Friday, Saturday-ish, because it's all moving really slow after another round of snow. I saw the radar for those guys, a forecast earlier today. It's going to get up there Saturday, Sunday-ish. You start travel situations could get dicey, but it is supposed to warm up.
Yeah, but then you're going to deal with flooding.
From snow?
Yeah, what happens to snow when it melts?
I don't know. It goes in the ground and makes a muddy mess around here. We don't ever get this much snow.
Yeah, it's going to make a muddy mess. It's going to make things really muddy and really messy. But all that snow is going to, and it's going to be it's much different than if you look at the amount of snow, this is a much different situation than we ever deal with here, because we have a gradual melt. And when you don't have a gradual melt in the spring, it can be crazy. Well, you're going to have if you look at America right now, the entire center with very little of it is in that, whatever it's called, a polar vortex or whatever.
Yeah.
That's going to melt at once. And it's going to be, it'll be wet.
See, that's not even a thought for me. And I'm a Tennessee River rat. And I'm used to floodgates being open this time of year because of rain, but I guess you make a good point.
But here's the difference.
It's not in my wheelhouse. I'm not thinking, oh my God, we're going to have a bunch of snow runoff to flood the Tennessee River. That's just not something that,
and here's the
have that on my bingo card.
All that rain right now, when you have rain, you have those gates open for days and you're constantly clearing that system. It's going to be all clear. It's going to come all into that system all at once. So
and cold too.
Yeah.
Cold
So it's going to be it's definitely going to be interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the RedCrest and that event. I mean, as far as I know, we're full steam ahead and all is good. I couldn't. I mean, I'm going to get roasted if I answer that it's crazy to have MLF guys driving in it. I mean, there's a chance that if this continues on, it'd be tough for a lot of our guys. It's I thought it was supposed to be better this year. It's 2021.
No,
events are already getting canceled. Orange, Texas is going to be. We've moved an event to Africa. It's gonna feel like that when we're there. I mean, boy,
if I come out there, will you pick me up like
yeah, dude, if you get, I'm gonna be so sweaty there. I mean,
yeah, I'm not getting close to you down there.
No.
In August, listen, the amount of swampiness.
Yes.
And Orange, Texas, you get those oil refineries around there, it's going to smell like heaven in August in the 105-degree heat.
Yeah, but there's also part of me that's like, I'm just happy to be back working, and I'm happy to be, I think it's the whole dream of 2021 being clear and easy. I mean, get over it. It's not going to happen. It's going to be, things are going to move, things are going to change. And this weather is just another kick in the I mean, the ice age is starting, Lucas. I'm
the
telling
ice age. We are bass fishing in an ice age. Dave.
We truly are. And it felt like an ice age this weekend because it was weird watching one of my best friends. I mean, I don't know how many. Me and Skeet are really tight. Like outside of fishing, he's a guy who I have a lot of. I mean, we've had some really deep conversation. Like he's one of those dudes that when we talk, we hardly even talk about fishing. Funny enough. So seeing him win an FLW or MLF Big Five event,
pro circuit,
was weird. It was awesome. I was happy to see him win, but it is weird to see him there. I mean, it's weirdly that was an adjustment for me. Like when I first started seeing guys working over there, it's just because them's my boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's weird, but I mean, it was cool to see Skeet win. I mean, Chris Lane second, and then Billy McDonald. I mean, if you're not cheering for that dude for the rest of your life because of what happened there, you got a sickness or something, because that was painful to watch.
Billy's one of the best guys in pro fishing, and he's kind of flies under the radar. He's low key. He's just like everybody's buddy on the FLW tour, but he can catch them. And he's been out there for years and years and years. Had probably his best year of his career last year. Comes away with another top 5 to kick off the year at Okeechobee, but opens the live well on his boat. Free wheelie happens. He's holding the bass. If you haven't seen the clip, go watch FYI, because Dave talked all about it over on the Facts of Fishing YouTube channel. But getting back to, the Skeet thing for me, watching the coverage, because I was like, Bass Live here, phone, watching a little bit of it. And then once it looked like Skeet was just like, he had a crazy flurry, dropped 27 pounds in like an hour. And then it was over with. I actually missed Chris Lane catching a right at 10 pounder because I wasn't watching. And those always make me happy, but it was bizarre. Like seeing Skeet, seeing the Skeet confidence, the Skeet attitude and charisma that we came to see over the years. That's really, in my opinion, it's gone away. He's been, I won't say gone away, but necessarily, but dude, on BPT, he hasn't shined. He hasn't won a BPT event. He didn't win on the elites for a while. He wasn't really a contender to be one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion. Like, dude's got as many winnings. Like, he's a legend in this sport. But you see him return to form. Then you see him on stage at the end of the day with Chris Jones, my buddy Chris Jones, who I love. But I was like, wow, Skeet Reese doing it again. It was just weird for me. And I was like, this is bizarre. It's like you're saying, you remember when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, Razor freaking Ramon went to WCW, and I was like, wait a second, that's Evil and Razor Ramon. What are you guys doing on Monday Night Nitro? It was kind of, then Hulk Hogan's got the black beard. It's kind of what it was like for me. It wasn't, I was super pumped for Skeet, but it was just odd. It's just odd. And it will take me a long time to get used to that. Because on BPT, it's not that odd for me, right? It's not. That's not odd because it's a live stream. It's
different though too. Like it doesn't feel like you're another version of. Let's be honest. Bass invented tournaments, right?
That's
like
right. The
race got invented them,
Absolutely.
so everything from that and that. I agree with that, but ultimately, I think I didn't see any of the coverage on the water, obviously, because I was a little busy during that. The only reason I saw the weigh-in was because we had a friggin' tornado coming in, so we flew through our weigh-in, and then I had to drive to the airport, and I got to watch Skeet do that. But I'll tell you, one of the coolest things was what he said on stage, and I think it's one of the most underrated things in fishing. He said, I came into this season happier than I have been in years.
Yeah.
And I think that you can't underestimate how tough some of these guys, the transition that they've had to go through. I mean, it ain't easy to read the crap. It ain't easy to listen to the crap some people on podcasts say about them.
For sure. You've got a podcast now, Dave. You've got a podcast.
I do, but I never say anything bad about Skeet in my life. No, you haven't actually.
I have nothing but respect for Skeet. I will say this. Let me cut you off to say this. Whenever I made an announcement video saying that I was leaving FLW, I will say that I've never said this publicly. I was leaving FLW, and the reasons why, Skeet was one of the ones that reached out to me.
Skeet's the best, man.
And he and I had a debate via text, but it was not an unprofessional thing at all.
Oh, he reached out to you to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And was like, hey, he was. Now, he was congratulating me on a career move that I was making at the time, but he was saying, hey, I couldn't help but notice the tone of this towards what we are doing. And I'm like, well, look, man, as a guy that's been at FLW, I explained my take. He understood that. He and I had a healthy debate, not a knockdown drag out by any means, but I have nothing but respect for Skeet in that moment. Like he called me out, and look, I would rather those guys, because we're all friends, right? Say what you want to say to me. If you think what I'm saying is either A, come on and let's talk about it, or B, just tell me. Don't, because now listen, I've got a handful of guys that have just disowned me completely because I don't like it. Or I'm critical of things that just don't speak at all anymore. And I'm talking about close friends that just wrote me off. And that's not an okay way to be, in my opinion.
But I think
somebody disagrees with you.
No, but I think some of that's natural. I honestly think that if you don't think that this has driven a wedge in between relationships, then you don't realize what this actually was. I mean, what actually happened and how this could have and did affect people's careers and long-term, everything. So people are going to get emotional and people are going to feel a certain way. So I think that, in some situations, there's certain guys I don't talk to as much as I used to. But that's also out of respect for my relationship. I mean, Skeet's a prime example. Me and Skeet do not talk as much as we used to. That doesn't mean I don't love him. I love Skeet Reese. He's one of my best friends. He'd show up here today if I needed something. I mean, but I also don't talk to him as much because I respect our friendship, and he's not going to agree with me, and I'm not going to agree with him on certain things, and it's
totally fine.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't know how we got on this thread, but I think it's awesome that Skeet won. I think it is great to see him back and happy. I think it was all kind of weird. There was the weird feeling where I'm like, well, what about Miles? Like this was Miles's event to win.
Right. And then
didn't he get third? Was he third?
I think Miles was third or fourth. But
whoever was third, I'm like,
you
got these two.
That's the gripe I have with those guys being in these events at all when it's a feeder system. Now, talking to some friends of mine that are fishing, they're like, hell, bring them on. This is what we want to fish against anyways. But it does take away. Miles is a dude that's been working hard and steadily climbing up that ladder over there for a long time, does a great job, works as hard as anybody in the industry. And it's like that this is like 3 in a row that a BPT guy has won since they've started this, the mashup mix up over there in the pro circuit. So it's interesting, but as many as you have at the top, you also have a lot of guys that didn't catch them too, that are BPT guys. So you can't say, well, those guys are, cause you see it on chatter, those guys are clearly better. Not necessarily.
Well, and that being said, dude, you also have to, it got to fall under the same pretense when I said, about us moving an event, it's not ideal to move an event down, to Orange, Texas in the middle of the summer, but we're doing it because of the situation. That's also what's happening over there. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. I mean, if MLF was up and running the way it had been up to, with enough events and everything, there was no way. I mean, Skeet Reese, we're talking about a man who who qualified for every single Toyota Texas Bass Classic and did not compete in one, and actually flew there one year, worked in a booth, did not compete in one. I mean, as bizarre as that seems, but because Skeet was very driven at the time he was competing in the elites, and that's what he was focused on. And I think you'll see that again. And, no, I mean, I think it was super cool. And you said Bill McDonald, to bring him back, you said he was one of the best people out there on tour. I'll say he's one of the best humans on earth, because there's no way that can happen. And all that comes out of your mouth is dadgummit. Like, I don't even think I've ever said dadgummit in my life, other than like this time, but, no, a great individual and a great, it's cool. It was weird to see what's happening in Florida, really. When you look at the rest of the country, you're like, we've got this little biodome where we're all running around in shorts and flip-flops.
Down there. And you came home because you're an idiot.
I
You
am.
love your family, but oh my God, you left. The only place in the earth is that little peninsula that's warm right now. I feel like the entire earth is freezing and Florida is going to save us all.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Bass.
I love my family and I love the viewers because I came home for 2 reasons: for my family and to make these crappy little videos for you guys. So, yeah, strange. Let's talk about bass. Big week for bass, dude.
Yeah,
And
man.
I mean, I'm gonna give it to you because if I don't, I know you'll. I told you about Brian New and how good
Varsity,
Brian
baby.
New is.
Varsity picks coming through.
I'm shocked at how many industry people are like acting like he's come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like I get it.
Don't pay
The
attention.
last name leads to that too, and the whole
Yeah.
first event of the year, and the fact that he's only got half logos this far up. You know, but it's shocking. Like really, you didn't see that this guy beat Jason Christie, Greg Hackney, and all those guys that qualified for Angler of the Year last year. You haven't seen.
Not even that, dude. It's going back to winning co-angler of the year, winning the cup as a co-angler, always being in top 10s as a co-angler. Then and he moves to the front of the boat in the Costas and he's top 10, making the BFL All-American 2 or 3 times and being in the top 5 when he makes it, winning the Race God ABA championship for $100,000 down on and blowing it. This guy is like, I've said, I fished with him in 2000. I got to know him when I fished co-angler, like met him in like 2013, but I fished with him in my rookie year. And I truly told him, like I had made the cut at Kentucky Lake. He was a co-angler. I had never experienced anyone that was that driven on the water ever.
Really?
Ever.
What do you mean by driven?
Okay. So just so focused on what he was doing, super respectful, not trying to question. Like he's clearly a great fisherman, traveling with Brian Thrift. You know, the guy's getting an education in everybody's boats and then doing it on his own as well. But he was so dialed in on the rules. In FLW, a co-angler could not cast if your feet weren't on the front deck. That son of a gun would have your fish netted, have a cull buoy in your hand for you, would pay so much attention to, he's a details guy. He would be like, yes, the yellow float that needs to go next. Like dialed all day long on what you had going on and what he had going on so he could make another cast because he was in the running for co-angler. This is like the 5th term of the year. He goes on to win it that year. But just so driven, so focused, dude, was ready to change on a dime no matter what scenario you put him in. We fished offshore. We fished shallow. An amazing shallow water and casting. Dude, was just outcasting me 10-1. And I said, dude, you need to be up here because he had already won the cup. And he goes, no, man, timing's just not right for me. It's not. And he's just always been that guy. And I'm so proud of that dude because I've known him for so long, but seeing him finally get his chance on that stage.
Yeah.
On that stage, he turned down FLW invites. He's like, hey, man, it's a lot of money. I don't have sponsors. I'm not going to do it. And I was like, but you can do it. He's like, I know I can, but it just doesn't make sense for me now. And to win AOI in the opens and then come in and win, dude, I was glued to it all weekend. When it started looking like that last day he had, I'm like, my dad's calling. He's like, New's going to do that. I'm like, I know. I was so pumped for him, but such a good dude. And this will not be the last time you hear from him, gang. It's not going to be. He's going to make a lot of noise all year. I'll promise.
I'll tell you a couple of things that right away. And when you were talking about some of the stuff that you've seen him do in the water, I mean, I'm like, yep. Like there's boxes that things I saw this week. I talked a little bit about it on live, but his dock presence is really impressive. And what I mean by that is week 1 of the elites, that's when you see how, deer in the headlights people are. What I mean? And if you're a deer in the headlights in the elite series, it's exactly like being a deer in the headlights on the highway. You get freaking run over. But I had 3 guys walk past me in a row on the dock on Sunday morning. Just ironically, I was just standing there, and one of them was Hank Cherry. You know what I mean? A reigning classic champion. You would assume you see no nerves there. The other one was Patrick Walters. You know what I mean? There's no nerves there. And the other one was Brian New. They were just in a row. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm like, he's no different. He is not. There's not one hitch in his step. He's as comfortable as everybody on this dock. He believes he belongs here. He's not happy with, you know what I mean? His attitude, like generally your first cut, most people are like, I'm just happy to be here on a 10, Sunday. Yeah. He's so far past that. And then the other thing you said about his preparation, dude, you look at his boat. I mean, one of the most talked about things is how many rods he had out, and that's
always, yeah.
Every single one of them is perfectly lined up, dude. Like I don't keep my rods organized properly when I'm shooting a show, and it's got every reason to keep them nice when you're shooting a show because it looks better and all that. And I'm a mess because I'm excited because I caught a bass. This guy is very dialed in, and. Dude, what happened on the stage on Sunday, in my opinion, I mean, my only regret is that we were in the middle of a tornado watch. I mean, one hit 6 miles from us, and we had to rush through it, and the weather was bad, so I don't know how good the stream was and that sort of thing. But, man, that's, that slogan, big bass, big stage, big dreams, that's it, dude. What happened on that stage, you watch somebody like live their lifelong dream, and to see his family, and then the coolest moment that nobody probably even freaking noticed happened when his wife walked on the stage. Dude, how bad does he want to win the league? You know that. I mean, all of us, dude. Like you get that trophy, man. You see people hug him. You saw Skeet Reese hugging the FLW.
Yeah,
I mean, just because
moments,
it's not what you accomplished; it's what you overcome that is so emotional. So this is a dude who has got a trophy in it, and I don't even know if you noticed it watching the weigh-in, but I'm looking at him. He's holding the trophy, and I'm yelling some ridiculous crap, and he's holding it up, and I'm looking, and dude, he's looking the whole time, like he's not. Most people are, boom, this is my hero shot. I'm going to be in the cover of a magazine, right? And his wife walks out from backstage, and his daughter, and dude, he's still up there holding, and I'm like, Brian, look behind you. And he turns, dude. He freaking dropped didn't drop it on the ground, but he put that trophy down and ran to her. And I was like, man, that is the dude that I want to cheer for. That's the dude who has, you know what I mean? And when you saw them, that's real, man. That's
it.
And
they got married during the open season. And with all the reschedules, they got married and then went on a 4-week, she went with him for their honeymoon, a 4-week tournament road trip. So you talk about a ride or die. He told the story on LBL. It was great, but they went to like 2 opens, a Toyota, and then an open, like all 4 weeks in a row. And then she went back home. So she knows she's lived it. But I mean, hats off to him, man. I was so excited. And to look, and this is what he and I talked about this week. Look at that top 10 too, though. You had Hackney back. You had Patrick Walters, who's just apparently just always going to be a dominant force now from now on. And we knew that. That was another one that everybody, if you've been paying attention, like I said, like you're saying, the industry kind of surprised by Brian. It was like that with Patrick a little bit too, I feel like. And if you'd been watching that kid, and I'm just a junkie that keeps up with too much probably in the sport, but you've been watching him in college and BFLs and all this stuff like coming up, you're like, yeah, he's going to crush him. And he did. Just like a guy like Justin Atkins made his first cut. He's going to catch him. You had a lot of rookies, KJ Queen, Josh Strassner, Josh Hamner. You had a lot of rookies.
And look how many of them, look how many of them made that top 50 and how many didn't. Like,
that's right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of those returning guys that were it's shocking to me.
It was a good event.
It was a great event, but it's shocking to me that some of those rookies didn't get enough respect from the media coming into it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I will say that in some ways it felt like we got lazy media-wise. Like, I mean, as far as covering the incoming guys, there were stories about Brian and there were stories about stuff, but I read way too many stories about Greg Hackney returning and Jason Christie returning. Right. And dude, I love those guys.
And those are the big stories.
And
that's the easy one. That's
great to have them back. But man, there is incredible stories on the Elite Series, and that's, to me, that's what I love about my job. I mean, I love that. But dude, I mean, the most shocking thing in the world is that Hackney didn't win it, really. Like, if you look at...
because man.
And look, you were one of the texts. I got texts from people on Saturday at like 11 o'clock, whatever time it was.
Yep.
Which, again, how good was that timing?
No,
I mean, what people aren't stopping to think about is Greg Hackney went on his run in the exact 3-hour period that we premiered on FS1. You know what I mean? So like if he does that in the afternoon, in the morning sleepy, it's a whole different thing. But I was shocked that he didn't get him on Sunday. Like when you saw Saturday, you're like, there's no way he's not going to get him.
You just see him getting more and more dialed as we go along. You can just see him getting like it's just freak show stuff, like typical Hackney. He's playing to the camera. He's showing you what he's doing. He's so freaking dialed in on the pattern. I'm like, dude, seen this look before. Here we go. First one back. And then New, but it was also with New that afternoon though, dude. It was like, okay, he's starting. He just needs some big bites. And Zona said it best, whoever catches the biggest bag on the final day, and New just knocked their lights out, man. But I was surprised Hackney didn't do better. But dude, that water on Sunday, I just want to point this out. I've never seen water that slick as glass. He kept talking about it. It was like,
stop.
And so I'm sure you saw Greg with a spinning rod. Like, that's one of 3 times we've ever seen that. And in Florida around Cypress Tree. So it definitely changed his bite. But when I text you Saturday, I text Zona too. I'm like, no way these guys are going to beat him. Like he's just dialed. I actually said, you think Gary Klaus will fire him over this? because Gary had a dominant first 2 days and his area just dried up on him. He had a really special spot. Super cool for him. Top 10 in his 100th Bassmaster Elite or 100th Bassmaster tournament. So cool. But yeah, dude, I thought Hackney would just be a shoe-in, and Brian said no.
Yeah.
No. Get out of here, Godzilla.
There was a bunch of those that happened on Sunday, though, like Patrick Walters to have all of Rodman to himself. You know what I mean? Like so much weight had come from Rodman. And then on Sunday, like you imagine that feeling when you're Patrick Walters and those doors, like he knew when the doors closed, obviously, but that feeling idling out, knowing it's me in these locks and media boats. That's it. Yeah. This lake is mine. Like he must have, but for it all day, because you're right. I mean, that flow of that river, like I don't even know exactly what happened, but it like every morning at takeoff, you would look in the water and you'd just be, there was so much pollen in the water and it's just like you're watching it flow past and it just stopped. Like that day that
last day
history just stopped. And it was a really cool tournament, a really odd tournament, obviously, with the way it ended with the tornado watch. But man, I said it on stage and I honestly believe it. That's the most normal place, like outside of being home with your family. Like you get back there and you kind of feel like, we're back to normal. Like there's no, the weigh-in's a little weird with the person on the other side of the stage and all that. But you're back doing tournaments.
Are you used to that now, though? Are you? Because I feel like now it's not like when you first did it, when they first went to that, I was like, I hate that we have to do it this way. But I mean, I don't hate it. Like I think it's good. I don't used to it.
Yeah, I don't dislike it as far as the show. Like I actually kind of, if we first started doing it, I kind of like the way that you move around the stage. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not just one locked off shot. I hate it for some of the anglers. You know what I mean? Like you need, some anglers need the mic closer to their face. Some anglers need you to follow them as they move their head around. So I hate that, like at times we can't hear them, and I know some of them are uncomfortable, but best case, it's one of those deals where, making the best out of the situation we're in, so I think it's slowly getting better, but I mean, I had a lot more fun when we were just able to, there's a lot more interaction when you're able to go back and forth and, we're right beside each other. And, but I'm just happy to be back working. And no, it was strange, man. It was, Christy was strange this weekend too. Like, he was legitimately, number one, I shot an Avco commercial with him the day before in Swindle, the day before the season started, which was cool. But to see I wouldn't say nervousness, but excitement, the anticipation in him, and to be back, you know what I mean? Like how good it felt. And Hackney too, dude, the way he carried himself on the dock, I'm going to tell you, man, like I wondered what Hackney is going to come walking down that dock, because it could have just as easily been a guy who is going to intimidate all these rookies. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure he does his share of intimidating, but very friendly. You know, not that he's not friendly, but you know what I mean. Like he's got that edge to him where
he is an
one of the most intimidating dudes,
dude. And I am fortunate like you. I could call him a friend. Call him right now. He may not answer because he never answers his phone. He may be in a duck blind somewhere and God knows where. But he is truly, dude, one of the most intimidating guys. Whether you're just sitting around, just joking, whatever. Hackney is always that guy. He's always been one of my fishing heroes. So when I've gotten to know him in the last 15 years, it's been really awesome. But he's still that guy that you kind of like, yeah, did I say the right thing? Did I say the wrong thing? I mean, so you're making a good point. Like it's
whenever you can just like make a body move and intimidate a man, you know, you're like Greg Hackney, dude. Like he's got that. He does that. If you're coming out of canal and you see that,
that's right.
You know, I mean, did anybody else like? It's just the way he does it. It's almost like there's cobras and there's freaking king cobras, dude.
That's right.
I mean, a guy like me would be like, "What are you doing? You son of a get the."
Yeah.
But you're a lot more intimidated by a guy who's just like, and dude, he's but it's cool to see them excited to be back and it's just really it's really really cool to see those guys back, and it's really cool to see the entire Elite series, you know, back, and kind of, you know, the evolution of anglers, you know. Before we went live, you talked about guys like Mike Huff and stuff. You've seen the entire Elite series field get so much better and so much more in contention no matter where we go, really.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna throw 2 names out there for the rest of the year because I like being a prophet. One of these is a very easy pick. Actually, both of them are. The 2 rookies, and I don't, and I'm just because I got regional knowledge of these guys. You better watch Josh Straisner.
Yep.
Who killed him in the opens, but you better watch Justin Hamner too, who rooms with Patrick Walters, who is a name that has been around Alabama, Tennessee, fishing for a while now. He's finally making that step up. Those 2 both made the cut down there I mentioned before, but watch those guys, particularly when we go to Neely Henry's and you get down here to Pickwicks. They have it set up on a tee for them a little bit at some of these places because they know these bodies of water very, very, very well, on top of the fact that they're great fishermen. They're not ordinary rookies. You're going to see some new faces hold blue trophies this year, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah. No, well, I would assume so. That's
more new faces, I should say.
They're
all new faces.
It'll be interesting. I mean, I'm very interested to see Christy, because Christy was not happy after
a pissed off Christy is trouble.
Yeah. That dude, there's an aura around Christy. I mean, Swindle makes the Indian jokes, and you know what I mean. Chief Ketchum lot, but dude, there's he's just a good dude. I mean, but the Elite series. And here's one of the coolest things, dude. Our crappy little podcast. I mean, I was amazed at the amount of people that just came out of nowhere, come up, talk to me, and said, "Hey, man, I love the show." A bunch of people asked where you were. You know, they feel you travel with me.
It's in your suitcase. Hey, Dave.
I told him you get to sleep in the hotel during the day because you're out partying all night. But he
tag in and out.
So many great people. But the cool thing was it was all ages of people too. Like there was young people. There was a lot of anglers gave it. You know, I told them I'd give them a shout out, and I had to ask the gentleman his name because I kept forgetting it, but it was Jay and Millie, an elderly couple, retired couple came down, Jay and Millie, and a bunch of people. You know, it was a retired, Army guy that was raising his grand. It was shocking to me to think that the crap that they brought up, it was really cool. So thank you all for listening. It was a great kickoff to the season. But outside of all that, this is a very important week in history. Lucas, are you aware what this is?
I believe so, but I want you just to intro it because you can do it like no other MC.
25 years ago this week, one of the greatest cinematic releases happened, the one Happy Gilmore. I've watched it hundreds of times. Maybe the only movie I've watched more than it is possibly Roadhouse, but I feel that Happy Gilmore is definitely my number one. 25 years, dude. Unbelievable. Like, number one, that it's that old and how well it's aged.
That makes me feel old. That makes me feel very old. Very old. Because I remember being a pretty young man when that came out. I'm like, oh, that wasn't 25. Oh, it was. Okay. Yeah, it's 25 years ago. Now my kids are discovering it though, dude. My kids are at that age I was at when it came out, like my older boys, and they're like all in to Happy. You know, you go to Top Golf and they're trying to do the Happy Gilmore hitting golf balls and stuff. So it's fun sharing that as we go along. But Adam Sandler made a killer social post yesterday celebrating 25 years, and he crushed a golf ball, Happy Gilmore style. Shooter McGavin, the actor, and what's his name that plays Shooter? I should have done my research.
Shooter, I don't know. I don't
Shooter.
know if anyone knows.
His Twitter is actually Shooter McGavin.
This is Shooter's tour.
Yeah, he had a rebuttal video to it. It was fantastic, man. But if you can't watch that and enjoy it, I'm going to put you on the spot though, Dave. And this is a toughie because as goofy comedy, influence guys that we are, we love to laugh. Picking a line, things are quotable, right? You call people Shooter McGavin. You use Happy Gilmore quotes a lot. I've picked up on that from being a fan of the Bassmaster Elite Series stage when you're on there. But I'm going to put you on the spot. I need one line, the most iconic line. I need the MC's favorite Happy Gilmore line. Whoa, yeah, it's a toughie.
I mean, I gotta.
It's too many.
You are right. I use Happy Gilmore a lot, and I didn't know how much. To be honest, none of that is intentional. Now I'm aware of it, but it was Eric Lopez who runs all the events, and he's like, "You give a lot of Happy Gilmore shout outs during the way," and I'm like I knew I did throw the Happy Gilmore check in the Pinto, like I knew I'd do stuff like that, but I didn't realize. But I'd say my favorite line, and probably a line that I use quite often, is Happy learned how to putt. But there's so many, you know what I mean? This is Shooter's tour. Prime to make the big bucks. I mean, there's so many, like Chubbs Peterson. I mean, Chubbs was one of the most iconic. Like, what was his deal? Like, he was lost on. Like, I don't know which fingers he lost. Glue.
I think there's never been a movie from start to finish that makes me laugh any harder, man. Still to this day. I don't know. I put you on the spot with that, and I've been racking my brain as you've been talking, trying to think what my favorite line would be, and I don't.
The price is wrong, bitch.
That's got to be it. Other than I love the scene at the bar when Shooter does the 9th green at 9 trick on him, and he comes in all sopping wet, and he's like, you better stay away. You're going to pay. And I love when Happy's like, or maybe I could make things out of clay down by the bay. I just may. What do you say? Like, I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Or when he's leaving, he says, I hear the asteroids machine calling my name from the game room. Like,
you eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
That one.
There's so many. Comment
below. Let us know. Yeah, let us know your favorite. We have to pay homage, as they say, to our favorite. That's got to be, I think it's in my top 3 comedies ever. Happy Gilmore. Definitely.
Yeah, no. It's a timeless classic, and if you don't like it, I don't like you, to be honest. I mean, really, to be honest, if you think that's immature, you're probably going to think I'm immature. And
you're not going to like this show if you don't like Happy Gilmore. There's a pretty solid chance of that. Can I do one thing real quick? Where are you on Billy Madison? Can I say?
I'm on Billy Madison. I thought Billy Madison was great. Billy Madison actually was shot right down the road from my house.
Really?
Like, that freaking Parkwood Estates. This is true. That the pool and everything that they drive the jet ski. That's Parkwood Estates in Oshawa.
No way.
It is. That is the house. Believe it or not, that's the house that. I should know this. Something Sinclair is named, but he was one of the founders of General Motors, lived in that house. Maybe Simcoe. It's on Simcoe Street. So I'm going to say maybe Simcoe is his name. I'm putting it all together. But he lived in that house, and now it's like a museum that they, take tours through and stuff. But they rented that entire house, and they do it for a lot of movies. But yeah, that was shot, and that's one of the greatest. I mean, yeah,
it's fantastic. They were right there in that same time frame. That's another one my kids have discovered lately, and I'm just like, oh my! And I think it's got more one-liners maybe than even Happy Gilmore.
Oh,
I mean, it's tough to beat that one, but I had to gauge how good of friends that we are right there. Based on, I was judging you very hard if you went away from Billy Madison.
I stay right
some
there.
Some people don't like Billy Madison. Some people don't like
who.
I know people that don't. They like Happy way more. My dad's one of those people. Marty D calling you out. He loves Happy, dude. He's watched it as many times as I have, but he doesn't like. He's like, oh, it's too stupid. He doesn't like. It's silly, right?
The wrestling principle. I like it.
It's Lippy when she puts the glue over her eyes. The kids are out playing.
It ain't hard to figure out where I'm at, dude. I mean, Adam Sandler, that humor. I'm all about Chris Farley and anything he ever did. And before him, it was John Candy. You know what I mean? Right. Like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of the greatest movies ever. Immature humor is right up my alley, and it's my battle in life to try and bottle all that down. But I've learned just hang out with people who are mature, and you'll get along better.
And we hope most of you humpers out there watching this are just as immature as us. That way you keep showing up week after week. We appreciate each and every one of you. I want to say thank you to the folks that came up to Dave, and I'd like to throw a little teaser out there. Not sure that this will happen. Weather permitting, we'll see what's going to happen, but could show up in Knoxville, Tennessee.
What?
It is not far away. And if I'm there...
Don't be showing up with those NPFL hats and crap like that. This is a Bassmaster event.
I'll be there handing out NPFL swag because we're 3 weeks away, buddy. 3 weeks away. Oh, I'd like to add our buddy.
I'm going to start a podcast that hammers you every Monday. I'm going to start a podcast called...
Nothing would be better than that. NBL.
It's called My Life. Not Low Life, not nothing. It's My Life. Let me tell you what NPFL screwed up this weekend.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing. I'd probably get fired over it because it'd be like, your buddy Mercer, you worked this up on the show. You guys actually planned this.
It's a shtick.
Before I was shutting her down, Dave, but I gotta say real fast, our buddy Rob Lunkers TV, Rob Turkla, announced NPFL, buddy, this week. A little subtle.
So you're turning our podcast into, see, now who's the sales? Who's selling now? Who's selling now, my friends?
I'm just saying that if you want to see Rob Turkla,
he's fishing NPFL.
He announced it was like this subtle, and I heard rumblings right through the ranks that it could happen, and then he makes this just a little post.
Why?
I don't know, man. He
not that there's any, but I'm wondering why has it changed his plans? Like, is he not?
No, I think he's going to fish everything else.
Doing everything now.
I think he's just in everything. He's an open.
He's a degenerate, just like the rest of us.
He's a tourney junkie now, just like us. He took a solid beating down there in Florida, took it on the chin. But you know what? Released all the video, told the stories. His co-anglers kicked his ass. There's no shame in his game, man. Like you throw yourself out there like he does. You got to get ready for criticisms and blah, blah, blah. We've talked about that, but yeah, man, he slid it kind of under the radar. I haven't actually talked to him about it much, and throws a post up there going NPFL. So I think he likes the fact that there could be live streaming coverage. You know, if he catches them and he gets to be there, I'll be fighting all the Googans off in the live chat. Should be great.
Yeah.
This is the guy that talked bad about him. This guy that's hosting. But yeah, so he's going to fish everything.
That's so bizarre still to this day that people still, like, we had him on here and people still to this day are like, you're hating on Rob. I mean,
yeah, we weren't at all. We wouldn't have had him on. I could have easily said, what a joke that he's, you know what I mean? You could have taken that a million ways. Like, a lot of people wrote him off. We had him on to talk about it. Like,
wow. Trophies are important. Trophies are very important, and he is chasing those trophies. He wants those trophies.
And you told me,
no, you don't need to.
No. You said the word trophy, and you shouldn't have. So, in the pre-podcast that we do,
I've been playing injured here.
My Canadian friend. Oh. I wish this could have happened while we were recording, guys, and not to wish any ill will or harm to Dave, but just show the camera, and then I'll tell the story. Please show the camera.
But show the result first. I don't know if you can even see it. Can you see it?
Oh, you can see it.
All right, so there's that, and I'm going to tell you right here, this crap destroyed my career. Chasing trophies, you see these golden mooses. I used to have a bunch of them that were up above there, and they came off crumbling down, and this bad boy cooked me in the skull and a few other spots, and I ended up with broken moose parts everywhere. But really, this is an emphasis of what was destroyed, because 10 years ago, I was on frickin' YouTube doing FYI, and you know, or 11, 12, whatever it was. I joined YouTube 2 years after it started. I went back and checked. And we've all learned that early adapters did very successfully. Well, somewhere along the line, 2 years into, you know, in 2010, Bass hires me. I kind of lay off YouTube, start focusing more on TV and chasing these stupid awards.
What was that award for?
Followers. We're begging for what?
What was that particular award for?
This is a golden moose, the outdoor channel. This one's for
what was the category?
Best freshwater show.
Well, congratulations.
Best freshwater show. And what year is that? 2018 or 2019? That's 2019.
Do you think, did they do a golden moose for Amazing Podcasts?
No.
Okay. Damn.
I guess
I need
they
some
do.
hardware in here. I've got some great behind me. You can see people sending amazing things, but I don't have any earned golden mooses that are also dangerous.
Dangerous.
How freaking ironic is it that the Canadian that's giving Southern shit over the cold gets hit in the head with a freaking...
I know. It's how it works out. That's life.
That was right after you sent that smart ass Instagram post about staying in and drinking. Dong!
That was advice.
Canadian.
That wasn't smart ass. See, that's the problem. Why does everybody take things negative? Like a lot of people chimed in. All it said was, "It's snow. It happens. You know, do the responsible thing and stay indoors and drink. We'll all be safer that way." And it's true. I mean, as a Canadian, stay indoors and drink during these times. It'll get you past it. But yeah, it did hit me in the freaking head. And it really hurt. I got cuts down the under. It's horrible, really. But hey, I've got so many golden mooses, they fall.
I just felt like that was a way to get your golden mooses on the podcast, and I'm here for it. My partner is a golden moose recipient. Zona keeps them back there during Bass Live.
He does.
Right over his shoulder. I wonder.
I hide them up top. That makes them dangerous. My wife had them back here, but before we shot, and I'm like, I don't want to have them there. I wanted to, but it was a bad mistake.
Zona's got the boys in there shining his up for Bass Live. There's no doubt. Z-Train.
Yeah. Well,
golden mooses. I actually have 3 friends in my life: you, Carter Andrews, and Mark Zona, that all have golden mooses. And I feel like I'm obviously never going to get one.
It just goes to show you everybody gets golden mooses. Nobody gets them anymore. They don't even have that anymore. That contest kind of went away.
Let's do our own contest, Dave. Right now, let's make a thing. This year, we're going to have a LD and the MC award show where we're going to give out awards to people for different things.
We're doing it. We are doing it. We are going to have an industry awards show.
Copywriting it right here. None of you other podcasts steal our freaking idea. We're giving away. They will, but we're giving away LD MCs. It's going to be like the Grammys, the Oscars, and the Moose Awards all combined. Right here, it's happening. We'll give you a date soon. We need to do this live. We need to do it when we can with COVID.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of a statue. Some kind of a redneck and a hoser together, like a
hockey stick, a guy, like a hockey trophy on one side with the little hockey guy, like Happy said.
But what represents the redneck?
Knock this guy and put a hockey guy on top. Knock this goofy golf guy and put a hockey guy on top. I don't know, like a Jack Daniels bottle or something. Tennessee whiskey, baby.
International. See where
worldwide. But I'm telling you, that's going to be an epic show. I'm glad we just thought of that right now. The LDMCs.
The LDMCs. Make sure to pay attention. They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. We're working on the trophy.
Yes.
And
give us trophy ideas in the comments. Come on.
All right. We're done.
We're done. We're done here. We've exhausted this. We've kicked this to death. Thank you for watching LD
and the MC.